PickDogs.com and SportsChatPlace.com here with your evening live show. Of course, we're going live every day, right around 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Our newest show, of course, in addition to our 11 a.m. morning show. What was supposed to be a spectacular day of sports in August has turned to a much, much smaller schedule, but we've got it all covered from top to bottom. We have a great bunch of guests with us today, as well as my co-host, Tony T, and our co-host for today, Dana Lane, as well with us. So really excited about that. And, it's an odd day. It's just I woke up in a haze, and it's never left me. I'm just not the same today. And, I can admit that to you guys because I know you guys well enough at this point. But I just want to say that, with every cloud, there's always a silver lining. It was the best August of sports in history. I'm not an Olympics guy, so I don't really care about that stuff. We had baseball, NBA basketball, NHL playoffs in August. How awesome was that when normally it's NFL preseason and baseball, like when division races already decided. So really excited about, the future. And with the NBA now resuming on Saturday and with no games on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, that just means the NBA season is going to be 3 days longer at the end. So more basketball, right? More days of basketball spread out. Just like college football, people are like, oh no, the Pac-12's not playing. And, the Big Ten, the lousy conferences aren't playing. It's like, yeah, now they're going to play in the spring or in the winter. We got 6 months of college football. People are worried about it. Anyways, speaking about not worried about it, I'm going to bring in Tony and Dana and we'll get right to it. Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing well, Mitch. I'm going to look at the bright side. We got 6 bettable games here for Major League Baseball here that's ready to have first pitch. We'll have picks on just about every game. And, of course, Dana, welcome to the show. I know you're out in Vegas. You're a big follower of the Vegas Golden Knights. Looks like hockey sidelined for a couple of days. But, again, like Mitch said, we'll just extend the season a few more days.
That's exactly right. And thanks for having me. I mean, it's hockey crazy out here in Vegas, and you get a lot of insight because I personally know a lot of people that cover the team, and I've covered the team as well. And it is definitely a city where you're going to be able to say one day that this is the NHL is more popular in Vegas than probably the NHL will be, or the NFL will be.
It's amazing. It's exciting to have Dana here. Those of you that aren't familiar with him, Dana has like a robust background in sports and sports betting. He's a Vegas guy, but he's also a sports guy. So it's kind of like he has that combination. Like some guys are just straight, the hard line handicapper numbers guys. Other guys are kind of like me, where I'm kind of just I'm a fan, but I'm mostly a fan of the team I'm betting on. But I just love sports. And then you have the guys that kind of like professional announcer. Also handicapper, so they kind of get that more inside information. That's Dana Lane. I'm really excited to have him as part of our site, and I was really excited that he decided to come with us on this journey, which, like I say, we're just in the first inning. But anyways, I think him and Tony long-term are going to do great on this show, and eventually, hopefully it will become their show. But anyways, what do you guys, Tony, we have kind of a weird day. This is like, It's not like the day that Rudy Gobert got COVID, tested positive, but it's kind of like, it's hard. And I've said this. I went live when the Bucks walked off the court. Then we did the live show last night, and I did one this morning. So this is my 4th time I've been on, since the first time they've walked out, and I still can say the same thing. I don't really understand it enough to be. I understand I understand there's a problem. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I don't understand, like, if players walking off a court or walking off a baseball field is going to solve anything. That's their platform. That is their hammer. Do you think, like, most of these basketball players, not everyone is LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Damian Lillard. I mean, I would say even the way Lillard played in the bubble, he could walk into 98% of the places in America and no one's going to know who he is. Who's the tall guy?
Yeah, I think professional athletes have a lot of influence in today's world, especially with the younger generation. They feel like they would like to get a message out, but I think they need to just sit down with leaders in our country and just sit down and have a talk and just see if they get some movement here on these issues, because that's what they're looking for. I think they just want to be heard. They just want our representatives to take a listen to their issues and get addressed at a very high level in this country.
Dana, I mean, you've been in touch with a lot of these athletes. You know these guys. You know, do they feel they can really move the needle here? It's like, and if they are going to move the needle, I mean, do they have a plan? You know, it's like you have to have a plan and kind of a purpose and all of these things. You can't just, you know, even the players were mad at the Bucks for walking off the court. We understand why you did it. We support you, but it's like we said we were going to be solid, you know, as a unit through this stuff.
Well, Mitch, we could do a whole show on equality and how things should be changed or what we should do to make things better. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, I think they feel like they're doing their part. I think there's a portion of them that if the Milwaukee Bucks took the court and played their game, you know, perhaps a few of them would have felt like, hey, I'm turning my back on the situation. Now, some people would come right back and say, well, shoot, you know, a 5-year-old kid on a bicycle just got shot in the head. I didn't see anybody walking off the court in relation to that. Now, I'm not saying that people should, but there was a lot of inequality in a lot of different things. The fabric of the country is not just simply black and white. It's more right and wrong. And until we can address the issue of why is there racism and have an honest conversation about that, only at that point will we be able to unfold and mend some of the bridges and some of the gaps in society.
Yeah, it's just a tough spot, and it's like I think a lot of us just feel the same. One feeling that I think a lot of us share is helplessness here. You know, where it's just, what can you do? It's kind of, you know, it's kind of like my shows are kind of a microcosm of society, where it's like you have the bulk of the people come to enjoy it, you know, give their opinions, picks, you know, or here to, you know, to enjoy it, or just like our Facebook groups, you know, same thing. People are there to enjoy it. And then you have 2 or 3 people in there that kind of come in and they just, you know, have a different agenda, you know, than everybody else. And, you know, whether it be to tear me down or tear, you know, our group down or somebody else in the group down, or, you know, you know, anybody that's on the show, you know, Joe D'Amico or something, it's not okay. You know, it's never going to be okay in my book, and I'm never going to be the one that's going to sit by silently. You know, when the George Floyd thing happened, you know, no one had to wait to find out where Mitch stood on this. You know, that's for damn sure. It wasn't 2 days later after the Milwaukee Bucks walked off the court, you know, that you find out where I stood. You know, I saw a video on the internet of a knee on some guy's throat. I was live in 5 minutes, you know, so I never had to go through all of that stuff. And the same thing with the noose in Bubba Wallace's garage. I mean, this is just, what kind of world are we living in, you know, where it's like people need to be treated like people. And it's like, you know, I'm somewhat colorblind, you know, and it's like, I don't know why, you know, I don't understand, you know, to me, I struggle with people that aren't, you know, and it's like, you know, but I don't know what I can do to change them, you know, and it's like I wish I did know, because I would certainly give it a shot. But anyways, you know, let's get to sports. And, you know, we have, like I said, we got a great schedule ahead of us. Today might not be the best day, but so what? We don't go anywhere. We're in this for the long haul. And just means, you know, we'll have more NBA in the future, more NHL in the future. And it'll kind of bleed into that time, because we're going to have a little bit of time in there where it's like, are they going to play college football during the week? Or, you know, what are they going to do? How are we going to figure this out? Because there is going to be a dead spot in there.
That's right. And this is a drive-through. I'm joined with Mitch and Dana Lane. 20 minutes of first pitch on a couple games. We have picks on. We got to get going now. All right, let's get.
I could go all day, as people, right. as many of our spectators say. Mitch just needs to shut up.
We got first pitch in 20 minutes. Orioles and Rays, Means in Yarborough. Yarborough favored big here, minus 193. Coming back, big underdog with Orioles, total 8.5. Means has struggled with Yarborough, tough spot. Dana, how do you see this one?
Yeah, I too can go another 30 minutes on this subject, but I was all prepped for the Boston Red Sox and the Orioles, and of course they decided that it wasn't in their best interest to play tonight. So we're going to switch over to the Baltimore Orioles and Tampa Bay Rays, and of course we know since the second game of the doubleheader against the New York Yankees that the Tampa Bay Rays have been absolutely on fire. In fact, they've won 13 of their 16 games since, they've averaged over 7 runs a game. They opened up the season just 6-8, but since then they've absolutely been on fire. And Tony, honestly, in this one, we're not going to lay the big price, obviously, because the bottom line is managing your bankroll from day to day, especially when talking about baseball. But Tampa Bay on the run line, even money, is something I'm extremely attracted to. The Rays have won 2 of the last 3 games when Yarborough starts. And of course, Means for Baltimore, the Orioles have yet to win a start when John Means has taken the hill. So I like Tampa Bay minus the 1.5 even money.
Yeah, those double-digit ERAs, those 10-plus ERAs are just. I mean, today is we said this a lot on the morning show, and I don't try not to allude to the morning show too often, but it's a real crap pitcher day out there.
You look at that total 8.5, and you would think with these ERAs, people are our first thing that comes to mind. Why is it only 8.5?
Yeah, well, one thing, Tony, if you take two pitchers, and our ERA is an absolute atrocity, and you're looking at 8.5s, 9 times out of 10, those games have a tendency to go under. One of the things that we overlook as bettors is the adjustments from one game to the next. We just automatically take what we just saw and apply it to the next game, when in fact we should be applying an adjustment to that next game. It's just like in the NHL, the Golden Knights in Vancouver have gone over the total of the first 2 games. I expect there to be an adjustment where space is to a minimum, and expect that to go under the next game. But I certainly like Tampa Bay in this one. I have no interest in laying the high money, though.
All right, joined here with Dana Lane. Of course, Dana, I know I've spoken to you in the past. You have a lot of contacts around the country. Sometimes you visit ballparks. Obviously, you can't do that. You can't go out on the road this year. But I know you've got a lot of contacts in these major league cities here. So you've got some these reporters, these beat reporters, and I think that's where you get your best information.
Absolutely, Tony. The beat reporters, I mean, and what's so great about Twitter is all you have to do is send a message to these guys. They're more than happy to talk to you. And then when you go to these cities, you say, hey, you want to have lunch like I did last year in Philadelphia, went down to Baltimore for a game, the Nationals. I mean, they're more than willing to have a conversation with you. And it's just kind of, plucking information. And then I can take that and apply it to my selections to give my players the edge.
All right, Dana Lane here on the drive-through. Dana, we find you over at Pig Dogs. Anything for tonight, or what can we expect to see up there from you on as of course NHL, NBA will be starting in a couple of days. Will we see some plays up there?
Yeah, we already got one winner in with San Diego, thankfully, on the run line, and the Dodgers game 2 is up there as well, and of course the Tampa Bay game was up there. Probably shouldn't have went over that.
Clean living on that Padres game. Give up the 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th, the 2 home runs to tie it. They get to the 7th. Seattle scores 4 runs. San Diego comes back and scores 7 runs.
Oh boy!
It's going to be that kind of day.
Never in doubt, Mitch. Never in doubt.
As I always say on days like this, I say it. Well, I've been saying it for a long time, but I always say, if you happen to be headed to the ballpark, you're going to want to bring a glove.
Absolutely. Drive through here. We're on every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time with picks, and we got more picks coming. We'll have picks on most of the games tonight. 6 games to play from Major League Baseball. We'll continue here. We'll go to Chris Ruffalo. First pitch in about 20 minutes. We've got game 2. Padres and Mariners. Kikuchi against Richards. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. And of course, the matchup features Kikuchi and Richards. Of course, Garrett Richards, I remember him with the Angels. I remember that terrible injury he had on that going to first base and blowing out his knee, and it's been tough for him. But this year he's put it together. Kikuchi, well, he last year was tough. This year he's having a difficult time. 12% walk rate this year. He struggled with giving up the home run ball a season ago. But you got to play on this game.
That I do, and it's interesting with these doubleheaders. You're seeing how, momentum can completely turn on its head from the top half of an inning to the bottom half. And now in such a short turnaround, you've got a San Diego team that just completed a 4-run comeback with a 7-run comeback bottom half at the last possible chance. going against a pitcher in Kikuchi who has struggled to keep runs off of the board this season. He's given up 4 runs in 3 of his 4 starts this season. Richards isn't normally a pitcher I'm trying to lay this kind of juice with or chase on the run line, but I think given the momentum, given how Game 1 finished and the way that San Diego's been swinging the bats against a guy like Kikuchi, I'll take the Padres on the run line here.
All right, Padres on run line. Dana Lane shaking his head. You could like that one?
Well, I stayed away from that just because I'm trying to figure out what happened. I'm going to watch what happened in the first game. If I get a winner in the first game, I tend not to go back into the second game. But certainly that would be the side if I had to choose.
Hey, Chris, how do you handicap these 7-inning games? Because, a lot of times it can go from starter right to the closer.
It can. I mean, we've seen it happen a couple times. I mean, you have a guy like I said yesterday, Trevor Bauer, who says he wants to go every 4 days, and he's the kind of guy that can start for you in the first inning and go all the way to the 7th. As far as this game goes, I don't know if I see either guy getting out of Kikuchi or Richards getting to the 4th or 5th inning. Richards hasn't been a guy to go more than the 5th inning in most of his starts this year. But in these shorter games, if you have a quality starter, he can definitely get you to the closer. And if you get the run support, it can make for a short day for you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Here, this is a drive-through Tony T with Mitch and Dana. We got Chris Ruffalo here looking at that Game 2 game, which the first pitch in about 15 minutes. And Chris, what can we find from you over at Pick Dogs on the site?
Oh, going over the weekend, I'll have a 3-day taster package. It's cheaper than a lot of the single one-off packages that we have on the website, and you get your best value the longer that you sign up for, the more value that you have going forward. And I'm going to have lots of stuff coming up over the weekend.
Chris, you're getting a lot of comments on the pink lighting that you brought with us. So he has the same light that I have back here, so I know he can just adjust the color.
I just decided to throw something up last minute. I wanted to be a little bit different.
Very good, very good. All right, Chris, it's always great having your show. Have a great good luck with your plays. There's 6 games today for Major League Baseball, bettable games. So we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, you're on the drive-through here. Tony T, joined by Dana Lane and Mitch. We continue because these games are going to start pretty soon. We've got Miami and the Mets, and we're going to bring in Shane Nickel into the show. How you doing?
Good. How about you guys?
Things are great. Things are great out here. And, of course, you're going to be looking here at this Miami Marlins team and the Mets. It's Waka against Sanchez. Sixto Sanchez. I saw Sixto. I thought of Sixto Lascano from it back in the day. But we've got Waka, who's really struggled the last 2 years with the Cardinals. But he's the favorite here, about $1.20, $1.30, depending where you shop. Total sits at about 9.
Yeah. And Waka's just coming off the injured list. He was dealing with some shoulder inflammation. When he was starting, it might have been the shoulder bothering him, but he wasn't good in his last 2 starts. Sanchez is making just his 2nd major league start for the Marlins. He didn't look great in the first start, but he did strike out 5 guys. And one key I see down here is he had a 42.9% miss rate with his slider. So people are missing that. I'm gonna take the little underdog price here and lay some money on the Marlins.
Yeah, the Marlins competing for a wild card berth. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I think that's just the product of a shortened season. I mean, you only got to win in 25, 30 games, and you're right there with everyone else. So.
Yeah, I know the talk. I know Dana. I think the talk in Vegas was some of the bookmakers sweating some of the Marlins tickets they're getting because in the shortened season, some bettors out there will look at some long shots.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And on top of that, I mean, you have a lot of long shots that are playing extremely well. I don't know what the Rockies were the start as far as the future book, but I don't think anybody predicted that Colorado or even San Diego would have played this well. But the Marlins certainly are making everybody sweat, but I think in the end they'll be okay.
Mitch, what do you got?
Well, this is the 7th meeting in a row for the Marlins and the Mets. The Mets played the Marlins, then they had that COVID break with the Yankees, but they've played each other 7 times in a row as far as the Mets go. The Marlins had a series in between. The Mets have played the Marlins. This is the 11th time in less than 30 games this season that they played the Marlins. 7 times against the Braves, 11 against the Marlins. This is that weird scheduling that everyone talked about before the beginning of the season, and we're seeing it front and center right now.
Yeah, no question about that. Shane, what's your thoughts here on this Mets lineup here? We've seen a couple, we saw that doubleheader where they got goose egg.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a concern too. I think the Mets lineup does rebound a little bit, but I think it's more Walker's just going to give up the run. So I'd also lean to the over if you're looking for a totals play on that one.
All right, total sets around 9. It'll be a 9-inning game here, the Marlins and the Mets. And Shane, I'm over at Pick Dogs. What can we find from you on the site?
I'm out for today, but I'm just waiting for. I've had a lot of success with NBA, so I'm just waiting for the NBA to start back up. I'm sure I'll have some baseball games tomorrow too.
All right, Shane, it's always great having your show. Have a great day, and good luck with your plays, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, that was Shane here on our show. It's the Pick Dogs, our drive-through as we break down a lot of the games from Major League Baseball. And we've got another game going here now. I hope it's going on. We've got the Reds and the Brewers, and we're going to go ahead and bring in El Ninos in this one. And looked to me like it was going to be Lindblom and Wade Miley in this one. Unmute, my friend. There you go. Oh.
All right. Sorry again. We talked about a lot of bad pitchers going today. There's another game with 2 bad pitchers, at least having bad seasons. Miley's coming off a decent season, but he's been very up and down his whole career. We saw them. The Reds are on the 4-game losing streak, but looking pretty good to snap that in their first game of this series, up 3-0 with Sonny Gray on the mound. I didn't want to go against Gray, but don't mind going against the Reds in Game 2 here, and I'm taking the Brewers -1 because the money line's a little juicy, so splitting it between the money line and run line, going Brewers -1.
All right, joined here by Al Ninos here on our drive-through. So you're banking on Lindblom here.
I'm banking on the Brewers offense, really. Which hasn't been too great either, but I do like them to get to Miley. They've got to him before again, small sample sizes, but I think they get to him again here.
I hit the Brewers on the in game on this early one because I'll tell you the Reds as a favorite this year have been absolute garbage, straight garbage as a favorite. We've seen them at -200 several times lose opening weekend to the Tigers, and it didn't stop there. I mean, this is a team that's 9-10 games under 500. This is a real underachiever, underperformer with high expectations, and that's where you make your money in baseball. It's betting against teams like that.
Yeah, you do that. And of course, Dana, I know in Vegas, Cincinnati was a surprise team. This was the team that was supposed to make a run here. A lot of people put their money behind the Reds, and it's just been the lack of hitting.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they were the sexy team to start the season. I mean, everybody talked about, especially in that division, which was a very winnable division, they just have not played well. And talking about tonight's game against Milwaukee, and remember, Wade Miley is a former Brewer, so maybe he's got a little bit of insight. You have Yelich and Braun that are barely hitting over 200, and those are 2 guys that if you're going to have success, they must be your catalyst to lead you forward. Justin Smoke, who was their big free agent signing, is still an all-or-nothing guy. He's more nothing than all this year. And he's on pace to have 199 strikeouts if we played a full season, which is way more than any other season. So there's nothing about the Brewers' offense right now that excites me.
All right, this is a drive-through. I'm Tony T, joined with Mitch and Dana Lane. More picks coming, but before we get to the picks, Al, what do you got going on at Pick Dogs?
Hoping to have some more baseball tomorrow, and hoping the NBA's back. They said Friday or Saturday, so let's hope it's Friday rather than Saturday. But either way, we'll have NBA back up, and of course some NHL players when we see some good ones there too.
All right, Al. Hopefully that's right. I'm with you there. All right, Al. It's always great having your show. Have a great night, and we'll talk with you tomorrow.
All right, thanks again for having me.
All right, you're back here on the drive-through, and we continue with more picks, and let's go. Let's bring him in. Alex Smart, professional bettor, first, handicapper second. He moves money, and the big money in these betting markets. And Alex, how you doing today in this crazy world, this crazy day in 2020?
Yeah, it's a real crazy day. Just looking at the lines are even fluctuating. The amount of money that's coming in is all over the place, and it's just one of those days where you just got to sit here and you got to try to get a good grasp of the market. And I've been looking at some NBA action for that opening series, and we said it's going to start Saturday, correct?
I believe that's when they – go ahead, Mitch.
I was going to ask Alex off the top of the, one of the questions I had for him was, we're starting to see a shrinking schedule here, right? So we're starting to see money come in from all over the place on games where pitchers with 10 ERAs and things of that nature going. We have 7 ERAs versus 10 ERAs and things like that. Is this kind of like a Monday Night Football game that you don't want to bet, like kind of that Jaguars-Ravens game with the 9-point spread starting to happen today, where kind of maybe it's like you take your Padres run line win and kind of say, yeah, I got some money to work with for tomorrow and Saturday when NBA starts. I see Dana's nodding his head too. He's with me in this, thinking the same way. So,
Generally speaking, I think that's exactly what's going on. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. And a lot of the big money just sitting on the sidelines and just trying to, like the really big money is sitting on the sidelines. I mean, I noticed there was quite a flow for a few days, and this sort of just, was a punch in the gut. So everybody has to reorganize, relook at, people are, a lot of pros are not going to just throw their money down because they want action. But, there are some edges. I mean, there's always going to be edges, and, there's always going to be money there in play somewhere. So, and, whales aren't necessarily pros. So you can see a $20,000 bet come in, and it doesn't mean that they're pros, right? So, you have to be careful with that. But anyway, I was like I said, I was looking at that, and now I'm looking at this weekend schedule. I guess it's going to be the weekend. And I was looking at that NBA game, the NBA opening series with Boston Toronto, which is going to be just an amazing series. It's going to be, I can see this as pretty well setting the stage for the finals. And can Toronto make it past Boston? I tell you, Boston is a team that must not be underestimated. They won 3 or 4 times against Boston, against Toronto this year. And against top-level teams, they're 9-1 ATS, which is important to us. They know how to win. They know how to win against good teams with 700 records or better. I think the average that I'm looking at right now, it's like close to 8 points. 8 points, and we're seeing a 1-point difference here. So Toronto's getting a huge amount of respect, and I don't really know where it's coming from other than their champs. So, I see the value here with the Celtics.
Celtics, yeah, you're going to see them up there. I see them up anywhere from Toronto favored by 2.5 points, total 216 in there in game number 1. And one thing I noticed here with Toronto, it's a huge step up in class, because when you play Brooklyn, to me, Brooklyn looked like they were playing pickup basketball. These guys were just put together, had no clue how to play defense. Toronto had open looks all over the court. And of course, that last game, we finally saw Toronto make some open shots, because they were missing a lot of open shots here. But now you're going to be defended. There's going to be a hand in your face. So how do you think this is going to play into this?
Well, Boston's an interesting team. They can bash you with small ball, and they can hammer you on the inside from time to time. Even when the media goes against them and says, "Hey, these guys, are soft." They're not soft. That's a tough team, and I think Boston's going to have their hands full. And Nurse better bring his A game formations here, because he's going to really be in for a tough task, I think.
What's your thoughts here with the Gordon Hayward injury here? You're losing a little bit of offense from Boston.
Yeah, you're definitely losing some offense, but what does that do with the defense? I think the defense seems to shore up for some reason. So I just like Boston. I like Boston. I could change my mind, because that's the whole thing. I change my mind constantly here. I'm not going to put any politically correct statements in there, because I've got to watch myself. But I changed my mind on a lot, and I'll tell you right now, I like Boston though. Right now.
Dana, you got Mitch. What you got?
You got a comment here that personally that I don't like it when Tony takes over. I actually prefer it that Tony takes over, and the long-term goal of this show is that that's going to be Tony's show, and hopefully with guys like Dana and Joe D'Amico co-hosting with them on alternate days or full time or something. We'll have to figure it out. But I think you guys have seen enough of me and have heard my picks on these games plenty. And it's like I love my 11 o'clock show too, and I want to have all these guys. We're going to start a Cappers Corner segment on our 11 a.m. show. We're to have all these cappers on just for like 5 minutes to kind of half, giving picks and half to promote this show, which I think is a whole great platform where it's like, it's Pick Dogs and Sports Chat are not Mitch. I just started them, founded it, whatever. They've always been a community. All my sites always have been, and these guys are part of the community. And it's like I think it's time that you guys get to know them up close, personal. And like you guys know me, that you guys can, all my little things that piss me off, all the things that get me excited, like when I say, I love this, you guys know, it's time to back up the truck. But yeah, I don't mind Tony taking over at all. Matter of fact, I have the controls right here. Oops, I hit the wrong button, but I have the controls right here and in my hand, so I could.
And it's not the remote control.
I could move to wherever I want. On the screen, I have the thing to do it, so it's not really that big of a deal. I kind of am enjoying it, and I think I'd like to hear more from Dana too on the show too. But Alex, is great having you. This is for me. I was going to say about this the thing I was going to say before I saw the comment, which people they think I shouldn't address the comments as much, but it's part of the show, right? And it's is that to me these are the two bowl of popcorn games. The Raptors Celtics. It's like I got my bowl of popcorn for the beginning of the game. At halftime, I'm gonna make another bowl of popcorn. I'm just gonna eat. I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to just sit down and watch a game, which isn't something I get to do all that often, but I'm really excited for this series.
I am too. Dana, your thoughts here on this Toronto and Boston series? Looks like the game one this weekend.
Well, I'm definitely leaning towards Boston as well. I mean, even despite the injuries, defensively, I don't think people realize or even have it in their head that the Boston is the second best defensive team in the NBA right now. So that's where they win their games on the defensive end. And plus, on top of that, in transition, they're one of the best transition teams in basketball, which is why they're fifth in points per game. So you add the two entities of one of the better defensive teams in the game and one of the better offensive teams in the game, and that is going to be a team that's going to make you money on a consistent basis. But you go up and down defensive categories, and the Celtics are in the top 5 in most of them.
Yep. And I still think it's going to be a tough adjustment for Toronto facing a team playing pickup basketball against a professional team like the Celtics. That's going to be a real tough adjustment here in this one. All right, listen to the drive-through. I'm Tony T with Dana Lane and Mitch, of course, joined by Alex Smart. Alex, we're over at Pick Dogs. What can we find from you this weekend?
Well, the usual. If it moves, I'm going to hit it. So it could be just about anything from MLS right across the board to hockey for sure. So, just keep your eyes open. It's all about making money. It's not about the sport.
Absolutely making the money. All right, Alex, as always, great having you show. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Take care. Thank you.
All right, back here on the drive-through, Tony T with Dana Lane and Mitch. I'm going to go ahead and give you my play here. I'm going to look at the Dodgers and Giants game 2. I'm going to go over 6.5 runs here. I'm not a big fan of Kevin Gausman. Of course, Walker Buehler was supposed to start. He's out with blisters. It's going to be Mitch White, and he was roughed up at OKC last year. ERA over 6.5. He was hurt by the home run ball. Let's take it over 6.5 in this 7-inning game, Mitch.
Yeah, I just think that Kevin Gausman, not one of my favorite guys. He's always been one of those like world of potential type guys, right? Where it's like Gausman, it's like, oh, let's put him in a Braves uniform. Now all of a sudden, Gausman goes from being the bum that's getting rocked in Baltimore to to a Braves pitcher, so now he's a minus 170. It was kind of like when Cashner got traded to the Red Sox, and all of a sudden Cashner's a minus 185 guy. He's not a minus 185 guy. He's just not in my book, and I think we're going to see some runs. I think Walker Buehler, I know you're more in touch with the Dodgers than I am, but to me, from what I've seen of Walker Buehler, he came in, like Garrett Cole, right? Highly touted, and really big expectations of him, and he's been good, but I don't think he's reached those expectations. He certainly has the stuff that the expectations said, but he certainly hasn't been unhittable. Like, he's not, just Nolan Ryan Koufax combination like they build him to be. And I think he does give up runs, plenty of them. So I think I'm with you on the over.
Yeah, consistency there with Buehler. He likes the rubber at Dodger Stadium, but on the road, ERA about more than a run and a half. But he won't be going here. It's going to be Mitch White because Buehler is on the DL with blisters. But again, Mitch White was pounded in Oklahoma City last year, ERA over 6, hurt hard by the home run ball. It's like Major League Baseball saying, well, we're only going to have 6 games, but let's make these games that just last forever, like that Red Sox Blue Jays game and that Diamondbacks. Let's put Robbie Ray up against John Gray and see how long this thing's going to last. It's like I live in Hawaii with a 6-hour time difference and I'm falling asleep. That's how long that thing goes. Oh, my God. Like Ruffalo says, Robbie Ray can't even find the dinner plate most times. It's unbelievable. Yep. And, of course, we do have a game that will start. We didn't cover this Pirate game 2. It's the Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals game 2. It will be Cody Ponce going to get up against the Pirates. They're going to put actually Jovan Oviedo for St. Louis, and the Pirates looks like it's going to be Cody Ponce in this one. Pirates plus 140 in this one, and I know Dana, you touted the Pirates in the past, but I know this year you're probably way off this bandwagon.
Oh, you kidding me? Mitch, I'm a Pirates fan. So I have had this heartache since 1979, excluding a few years. And Tony, I mean, this Cody Ponce kid, he spent some time in AAA between San Antonio and Indianapolis last year. It was just 2-6. Now he'll throw between 94 and 95 miles an hour, but his curveball is around 78. So he really has to spot that fastball in order to make his secondary pitches be effective. According to guys I know down in Indianapolis that follow him on a daily basis, he has got to get off to a strong start. If not, he's going to get hit pretty well. So look for his first or second innings. If he does, which happens all the time, and I was thinking that in the second game against the Dodgers. You know, I mean, you get these kids coming up, and these teams don't have a book on them, and they're able to skate through 3, 4, 5 innings and have a good outing. But the first 2 innings are the key for him tonight. And if he's able to spot his fastball, perhaps the Pirates have a shot.
Yeah, it's a big line here, minus 160 on St. Louis, total 7. That's true because the Marlins did that with Rogers. They snuck him in Game 2. And, you know, we're all in the now, right? Everyone's in the now. You focus so much as a hitter and on the Game 1 starter, so you sneak in that prospect in Game 2. No one knows him, and you can probably steal a win.
Yeah, we've seen it time and time again. But the only thing about the Pirates is you're not getting any kind of offensive support behind any of your pitchers. Gregory Polanco has been an absolute disappointment. Bell has been barely over 200. He's not the Josh Bell of last year. There is Ryan Reynolds, the guy that Reynolds was going to win a batting title last year, or at least was there at the end with 2 weeks to go. He's been struggling this year. There is no offense, and even the offense they got today was from Cole Tucker, and we're not going to rely on Cole Tucker on a daily basis to get the Pirates offense going. Even if you have a good starting pitching outing for the Pirates, there's no offense. So that guy can give up he can give up 2 runs in 5 innings, and the Pirates can still get blanked.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But they did get the win in Game 1, but they needed to go extras in that one, 4-3. Looks like with Cool on the mound, looks like they went into the bullpen. Mitch, you had thoughts on this Pirates team?
Yeah, I agree with Dana. I always love these first-time starters and the guys, coming up. And, this guy looks good. They certainly have the edge on the mound. The problem is, like Dana said, the Pirates, scored 3 runs in 2 games in Chicago, and it's pretty much been it. It just seems, well, maybe, they pulled the upsets over the weekend. That was the best they looked against Milwaukee. But outside of that, it has been a rough season. They went into the weekend with 4 wins. That's not going to get it done. That projects, 4 wins in 20 games in a 60-game season, and I'm not a mathematician, projects to 12 wins. That's not going to get it done. And it's not like you're going to draft Peyton Manning or something. In baseball, you will have a high pick, but one guy doesn't get it done in a baseball draft like a quarterback or something does in football. So Pirates just have a lot of work to do. Joe D'Amico on yesterday's show talked a lot about the trade deadline and some of those things coming up and how the Pirates might be sellers again. I'm not even sure what they have to sell.
Sellers. The only thing that they have to sell, Mitch, is Keanu Kella, who has been an absolute disappointment, and now he's hurt. I don't know, and this is the frustration that Pirates fan will have. Even if they want to build, in past years, you have pieces that you can sell off to build this team. There is no pieces here. I don't know who wants Josh Bell at this point. I don't know. Kella is your only piece, and he's hurt right now. And if somebody could tell me what the direction is of this organization, I would love to hear it.
Polanco might be a guy whatsoever people are interested in.
Well, he's hitting over 200, and he's got a bum shoulder.
But that's people pay up for that. We've seen, we saw Jose Quintana go for Elroy Jimenez and Dylan Cease, a couple of years ago on the trade deadline. So miracles do happen. But the Pirates, what we've seen from them in the past is they get the miracle and then they don't know what to do with it. They let it go at the next trade deadline, right? That's what they generally like to do. But it's been a rough go of it for the Pirates. But Joe D'Amico is pretty much spot on with his trade analysis yesterday. I know it was Joe has a different delivery than the rest of us, but he said his first guy that he said would be traded was Taijuan Walker, and he didn't even make it 24 hours after Joe said that. He was gone. So maybe we should listen more to Joe.
Yeah, no doubt. But then we're going back to this Pirate game. I want to talk a little bit about Johan Oviedo. We talked about the Pirates not hitting him, but Oviedo's a walk guy. If you look at his numbers in the minors, he had a ton of control issues. So if you're kind of leaning the Pirates plus 140, you got a pitcher in Oviedo who walked a lot of batters in the minor leagues, and that's something I always have an issue with when they bring up these prospects. When you look at the walk rate in the minors when they're approaching double digits, I get very nervous about that, Dana.
Well, my only thing about taking what somebody did in AAA and equating it to the major leagues, it's sometimes it's apple and oranges, especially if you're playing in the Pacific Coast League. I mean, I've seen guys come up from the PCL with ERAs that are 5 and then go to the major leagues and not give up a run in their first 2 outings. It's
Alex Young.
Alex Young. Right. I mean, it's two separate entities. And then plus the team that you have behind you is different. The run support is different. I don't put too much stock into, taking A and equating it to B, but, certainly you'd rather have a pitcher that's had success at the AAA level when you're trying to back him financially at the major league level.
Oviedo is on the mound here for St. Louis. He's already out there throwing his warm-ups and facing the first batter. And, he's a pretty big kid, this Oviedo.
Yeah, Ben, I want to go back with Dana here in the NHL. I want to ask you this question because this was talked about. Do you think a Western Conference team can beat an Eastern Conference team in the finals? Do they match up physically with the East?
Well, of course they do. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's you're going to see in this Golden Knights game tomorrow night or whenever they decide to play, you're going to see both teams tighten down. I mean, what if the Philadelphia Flyers get to the finals? You don't think that Vegas is as good as Philadelphia or can play as physical as Philadelphia?
NHL has announced Saturday play will resume on Saturday.
Okay,
there'll be no games tomorrow.
It's all about puck movement. When you're playing physical teams, it is about puck movement, and it is about defensemen getting the puck up to the forward and getting it out through the neutral zone. The quicker that you can do that, the easier it's going to be. I mean, we saw a couple years ago where people said, well, geez, how is the Pittsburgh Penguins going to handle the San Jose Sharks? They're a really physical team. Well, puck movement, because they beat them to the pucks and they got the pucks off their sticks. And the quicker that, your movement inside the defensive zone is the key to beating bigger teams. But, for me, Vegas has every chance in the world to beat a team like Philadelphia, which I think are the two that are going to face each other in the end.
Yeah, when they play again on Saturday, right now we're seeing Vegas line minus 193 in Game 3, total 6. Now, of course, Vancouver designated a home team. Matters in hockey because Vancouver will be able to make the last line change.
Yeah, I think we're going to see an under in this game. I think both teams are going to tighten down. It's really interesting about the Golden Knights goaltending situation. I mean, going into this, I didn't think there was any chance that Marc-Andre Fleury would not be their top goaltender, but there is a feeling around the team that Marc-Andre Fleury will not be a Golden Knight next year. And, of course, Robin Leonard came in, who had a fantastic year last year, but has a history of being kind of sporadic, not only mentally but on the ice. And they're really, I think, putting all their eggs in one basket with Robin Leonard, which, of course, sparked a little bit of an issue because Marc-Andre Fleury's agent came out and put out a photo that had a spear going through Marc-Andre Fleury, and I think that's probably how Marc really does feel. It's very interesting to see the dynamics of the goaltending of the Golden Knights, but I think this game goes under because both coaches are going to allow less space. Vancouver had a lot of space going into the offensive zone the other night. I know Vegas dominated that second period, but the first and third period, I think Pete DeBoer will tell you we need to tighten up.
I'd like to bring in Ruffalo here to get in on this discussion here with Dana. He's definitely another NHL guy. Chris, any thoughts on what Dana is saying here? Let me get rid of these graphics that I have in your face. But kind of just impromptu. Chris, what do you any comment? Chris is one of our puck dogs at Pick Dogs.
You know what? Dana made a very good point that I was wanting to make when Rod was getting this question asked earlier in the week, and when Alex Smart was getting it as well. I think any team in the West has just as much of a chance as any team in the East. And it's like Dana said, puck movement's going to be a key for those faster teams. They're going to have to deal with the gritty, harder hitting teams in the Eastern Conference, like your Bostons, your Philadelphia Flyers. I think Vegas is the most balanced team top to bottom in the Western Conference. They can score across all four lines. They have a solid 3 defensive pairings. The goaltending, it's been split between Leonard and Fleury, but I think they have just as much of a shot as anyone to get out of the Western Conference.
How do you see this game 3 between Vegas and Vancouver?
I was leaning towards a higher scoring game because it's just been the way that the first 2 games have gone. But with these games hanging out around 6, it almost seems like it's that magic number that it's the way the odds makers want it. It could go over 6, could go 4 or 5 goals, but I'm starting to lean towards the under now. I think neither side's going to want to be the one to be the one that makes the mistake here that could hand a 2-1 series lead to the other side.
All right, you're listening to and watching the drive-through. I'm Tony T with Mitch and Dana Lane. Of course, Chris Ruffalo, the handicappers who are joining us. And I know, Mitch, that Pig Dog Show morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, you'll get everyone up to date with all the games scheduled. Hopefully we'll have solid dates for the restart of the NBA, NHL, and, of course, Major League Baseball for Friday.
Looks like we're going to have a lot of Major League Baseball on Friday, a lot of doubleheaders. And then, Saturday and Sunday right back at it. And I believe, Chris, we got UFC on Saturday too?
Yeah, it looks. I think I mentioned on the morning show today, it looks like there's going to be at least a UFC on ESPN fight night or a main event fight every weekend up until December 12th.
Yeah, we'll trade some paint with Jeff Jeter from the shadows of Bristol Motor Speedway. Talk about some NASCAR. Those of you that haven't seen Jeff's saying there's NASCAR tomorrow night. So.
Oh, great. And will you cover that big college football, Central Arkansas and Austin Peay?
I'm in.
If there's a line.
I'm in.
Be back.
Believe me, we're in.
The college football season has started.
When you've covered Madden simulated games, Madden simulated Pro Bowls played in the snow, on live, on YouTube Live and Facebook Live and Periscope and Twitch. I tell you, that's a dream matchup, Austin Peay and Central Arkansas.
I can tell you the major players offshore have line in this game. The home team, Central Arkansas, anywhere from 4 to 5 point favorite. Look at this total variance in between about 4. It's going to sit about 45.5, 46.
Nice. I'm ready for some football. I'll take it.
Football?
We would have had.
All right.
We would have been. Late preseason right now in NFL. This would have probably been dress rehearsal week, right? And then next week would have been the one that nobody plays, and we would have been opening up NFL college football season this weekend.
This would have been week 0.
Yeah, this would have been week 0. So it's like, and we're going to get college football soon. Like Tony said, we looked at the schedule, and I got to say there's some great matchups coming up. I mean, just because, Ohio State and Wisconsin, those are the boring teams anyway. We don't care about those teams, right? You don't want to play, we don't want to play, we don't want to watch it. It's like, now it's like, instead of just ducking teams and playing Ohio, Toledo, and Army, every single week, if you're out of conference, now let's just cancel the whole team. We won't have to play anybody, right? It's like, I got a great idea. We just won't play anybody, and then we'll complain about being pushed out of the Pac-12, right? We'll complain about being pushed out of the national championship. We'll play nobody. It's like,
well, I just found out that one team from the Mountain West is going to play, and that's the Air Force.
Nice.
They are going to play. I read that. Dana,
apparently Nebraska's dead set on playing too. They're dead set up. They're not happy about this.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good card September 26th. How are you handling this college football season? It's very confusing.
I'm just was thinking about that, Tony, because a couple of weeks ago I'm talking to Joe D'Amico, and all of a sudden he says, in a couple of weeks football start, and in my mind I'm still watching hockey, I'm still watching the NBA, I'm watching the MLB, which to me is in the beginning of their season. My mind is not where the calendar says it should be at this point, and I really need to start focusing on these matchups coming up. I pray and I hope, Tony, that things get settled down a little bit. I know COVID numbers in Nevada have been way down. Across the country over the last month, they are way down. I hope things settle back down and we can get into our normal routine again. But listen, the Raiders aren't going to play in front of any fans, which is bumming a lot of people out here because we can't go in and see the new stadium. UNLV had to switch around their schedule. They were trying to get TCU on the schedule. We're not going to be able to go and see any Rebel games this year. this whole thing stinks, but I'm thankful for sports rather than not having sports, because for 4 months, man, I found out more about my family than I'd ever known in my life. I cleaned up and did things that I've never done in a long time. I'm glad sports is here, but it's very difficult for me because mentally I'm not on that calendar.
Yeah, that's right. And just to get you guys up to speed, the Labor Day game this year is going to be BYU and Navy, the primetime game, September. So keep an eye on those schedules.
I'm in. BYU
Yeah,
Navy.
I'll take
I'm in.
whatever.
You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about me, Karen. One way or another. I'm in. It's like
The first Division I game will be televised CBS Sports Network Thursday, September 3rd. We've got South Alabama at Southern Miss.
That's next week.
So that's next Thursday. So get brushed up, guys, because we got Southern Miss, and then that Saturday we've got Middle Tennessee State and Army, SMU, Texas State, Arkansas State, Memphis, and then we go into Labor Day game, BYU and Navy. So we've got next week we're going to have 5 games.
Arkansas State, Memphis. I'm in for that too.
Yeah.
I do know this, Tony. I mean, I'm not alone in that thought process. I know that the contest around town and the Superbook contest, and then one that Derek Stevens has down at the circuit, I don't think they're certainly not drawing the amount of contestants that they thought they would. In fact, the Westgate has given away free rooms just to sign up. I think it's taken a while for people to kind of get acclimated to where we are and what the new schedule is going to be.
Yeah, and that's
6 months of college football, though, because then we will have Ohio State, the Big Ten, the Mountain West, and the Pac-12 will all be playing. I think it's late January they're talking about starting. So,
and how does that affect bowls? How does that affect the national title? I mean, how does that affect playoffs? I mean, none of this has come out to my knowledge. I don't understand how you can't certainly how is even a computer poll able to be put out. I don't know how it affects postseason in college football.
Well, I'm from the South, and we don't care about any of those other teams. And I can safely say that.
I know the Big Ten's happy to see the MAC play, so they got some nice non-conference games there. We'll see some Big Ten versus MAC games.
I think this is the perfect year for the conference, the Cincinnati's and the the Memphises of the world to come out and make a statement. This is their time. They wanted to be in the Big 12, Houston, and I'm super excited about Miami this year with Derek King coming in and playing quarterback. It's like Houston's like, hey, let's redshirt this guy. We'll have him back next year, and then he goes ahead and transfers, lands on our team. We haven't had a quarterback in 20 years, since Ken Dorsey left. It's like we're super
and we'll
excited.
See if the FCS makes some TV contracts too. The FCS we could see also in spring. There's some interesting FCS games out there too. All right, this was a drive-through every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have baseball coverage. Maybe we'll peek at some of the NHL and NBA for the weekend. And Dana, in closing, any thoughts as we close the show?
Well, I'm very happy and feel very fortunate to get the San Diego Padres. And guys, I would encourage you to get on with my baseball selections, #1 overall in Major League Baseball. I appreciate you guys having me on the show for the first time. I'm looking forward to shows down in the future.
We're excited. We're excited to have you, and we're excited to have you as part of Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place community. Just super excited. You, Alex, Smart, Al Ninos, Ruffalo, we invited, about a year ago. He just hasn't left yet. And Zawacki, who's not here, Tony, and everybody else. I'm just excited that everybody, everyone is excited about what we're doing here. We're just in the first inning. We're just getting started, and I think a lot of the people in our community have learned that. It's like we launched this multi-capper site. It didn't go perfect. It's tech. It's not going to go perfect, and people are like, they were patient, and they were, we worked through it all together, and it's like, what happened? Our community met my tech team, who's been, doing the dirty work for a dozen years, behind the scenes. And it's like, they've all worked together because it's like, hey, what are you seeing? Oh, I'm seeing this, man. You want a screenshot? Yeah. It's like, we're all working together to make it happen. And that's kind of, it's a great thing to see. But thanks everybody, whether you're watching or whether you're, a capper on the site or a writer on the free site, Shane, who was here, whoever, just everybody. Greatly appreciated. Al, who was in the Facebook group, he won a contest. He became a handicapper. He's he went to the other side, came back to this side. It's like it's been whatever it takes, man. I don't really care as long as we're doing what we love. But thanks to everyone. I really appreciate everyone. Each and every one of you.
Thank you very much, everyone, and tune in tomorrow at 6 Eastern Time. A lot of baseball picks. We'll see if we get in some NBA, NHL. We may have an opinion on Austin P and Central Arkansas. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for Mitch's show.
I'm going to be studying that Austin P Central Arkansas. Thanks, everyone. Have a great